Welcome to another exciting edition of Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Paper Guy.
I'm Mr. Magazine.
And today we go into some BOLOs and various things that you can find out there. Some things if you keep your eyes open. Obviously, we found them all, so you can too. Why don't you take it away, Mr. Magazine?
All right, I'm going to stay with the Christmas theme of toys and so forth. We have unopened packs, which are very hot now. Vintage unopened packs, sports, non-sports. For whatever reason, the market shot right up from COVID. So, but even these packs, the cards themselves aren't worth a lot. I think I sold the two for $50.
And shout out there to Primetime Treasure Hunter. I know he's into all this, the pop culture kind of stuff with the wrestling and all that stuff. So if you got any of those sitting around, get them on.
Crazy. All right, here we go. This is something I never deal in, but I bought it a couple years ago, and it was slightly used. I try to buy clothing new with tags to sell on eBay. It's much easier, but it did sell for $50. Female medium Harley jacket.
No, it's obviously got the Harley.
Yeah, I think there's a logo on the back. Somewhere on there, there's the logo.
Oh, right. Oh, that's a lot of pictures, too.
Yeah, I took a bunch.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, there you are. Yep.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Very cool. So,
and again, we don't tend to do clothing, but just shows you that you can make money.
Yeah, it was it was a regular customer, and he had other stuff, and so I looked it up. I think I paid him half for $25-$30, something like that. All right, gonna stick with the sports card theme here because they're still hot. This was a 1997 set with a Kobe rookie in it.
Oh.
I took a $90 offer. It was in some collection of sports cards, and I didn't even know what I found. It was like a bonus. So, but generally a couple years ago it was like a $30 set.
So basically, if you bought cards and all that back in the day, it might be a time to pull them out and get them listed for sure.
Yep. I'm sticking to it. Football season. This is a Raiders rookie. He's like an average rookie. He's playing Hunter Renfrow, but the card went for $50, and there's 125 of them. So it's not a rare card, but it shows you how strong the market is. Just like an average rookie signed card is going for $50.
Wow,
it's crazy.
I'm so out of the loop on all that
right?
stuff.
It's not. It is cool. It's called a playbook, so it opens up and folds out. But still, it's a lot of loot.
Wow.
All right, I'm gonna do my magazine theme. So a couple years ago, I bought a huge magazine collection from New York City. It was delivered, and there was hundreds of these Village Voice, like newspaper magazines. At the time, there was 0 on Terapeak, 0 on eBay. So I said, well, let's price them $50 to $100. Believe it or not, they sell all the time for $50 or more. So this one had Lyndon Ronstadt in it. I think I took a $48 offer on this one.
See, and that's definitely one of those things that believe in your product. And I think that's one of the things that I know Auction Professor stresses it all the time. And I definitely have come around to that viewpoint. If you've got it and you're the only one out there, you don't have a lot of competition. Again, you can't stick to your guns and price a November 1977 Road and Trek at $100. You will die with it at that price.
Sure.
Because that's very common and everybody in the world has it. But this is something difficult to find, and you can price it where you want to price it at. Yeah. And people are willing to make you offers. And trust me, people are not shy about making low offers.
Yeah. Sadly enough, my employee didn't put Elvis died by prescription in the title. That might have helped it, but nevertheless, we still sold it for almost $50.
Elvis is dead?
Yeah, exactly.
He's left the building.
He's in Tahiti. All right, this one I gave away because it was perfect timing. This buyer bought this at the exact right time. Alvin Kamara, Saints rookie card. I had it for, I think, $10. He bought it for $11. Whatever, he bought it for the full price, $11. But he bought it the night that he scored 6 touchdowns and 150 yards. So probably would have been double price the next day, but he got a deal on it.
You got a good deal, but something.
Good for him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it comes down to. Yeah. You got the things priced. You honor the sale and you send it on out, and good for him. You left some money on the table, but you didn't leave it on the table at the time you listed it.
Right,
that's the whole key.
And he may grade it, and say it comes back at 9 or 10, it could be $100 or more.
But I think one of the other keys though is he also is a happy customer.
Right.
One thing that I probably would do in a case like that is I might even email him and tell him, hey, great buy there. We're shipping it out.
Yeah.
Add us as a favorite seller.
Yeah.
Because that's a good way to build. You'd be amazed how many people will ask me questions, and I will mention to them, add me as a favorite seller, add me as a favorite seller. And, then they check your things out from time to time, and it can't hurt. He's happy he got that purchase, and he'll check you out in the future.
Yeah, very cool. All right, 45 RPM records. So
Did you sell that to Auction Professor?
No, I'd like to because I literally bought 100,000 of them probably 8 years ago, and they're still sitting in a room in my warehouse. Actually, they've been all over the Eastern Seaboard. I've stored them all over the place. But we listed thousands of these years ago, and we did well individually listing them. The problem was we had over 300,000 listings, and the cost of the
that
eBay
was-
store was
yep.
killing me.
That was back in
So-
the day before they had all the
Yes,
auctions.
I had like 100,000 45s and photos listed, and we ended almost all of them. But what we did was my employee found a way of copying and pasting all the records that were in the listed box as one lot. So it made it easy. So instead of having 100 listings, we had all those 100 records that were in the box into one listing. And we sell them every month or two. Basically, we get about 50 cents a piece. You know, they're getting a deal. They're getting bulk. But this one went for like $90 for 190 of them.
But they also know what they're getting too, which is
Right, that's the
which
key.
helps
If you
considerably.
just said 190 45s, you probably get $40 or $30. But here, at least they knew there might be a couple good ones in there. The whole list is in the listing of all 190. So
And I think one of the key things about that is the work had already been done because they'd been listed separately.
Right.
You were able to salvage the work to at
Yeah.
least not have wasted it completely.
right, yeah.
And that worked out very well for you because, again, you're getting 2 to 3 times what you otherwise would
Yeah,
get.
if we
because you
just
got
ended them,
listed.
like the photos are just ended, we can't, they're just sitting now, but these are still, you can get some money back on them, fortunately. So, all right, and wrestling's hot, whether it be packs of cards, magazines, or action figures. This one, Demolition, went for $100, and the back of it was all like, it's not, I would say mildew wear or something. It was in a damp environment, so the figure's mint, the front's mint, just the back part of the card has some like mildew dampness on it. It's all dried out now, but it still went for $100.
Slight waviness,
Yeah,
et cetera. Yep.
Mint probably, mint one would probably be 150 to 200. But, very cool if you see this stuff, even in loose form. If this figure was at a flea market for $5, jump on it because it's probably $50.
And that might be what the person is doing too. They might be opening it.
Oh,
So
probably, yeah.
the damaged package actually for them is an advantage because
Sure.
they don't want to pay 150. Hey, you can pay 100 and I'm going to
Yeah.
take it off the card anyway. What do I care?
Yeah. Cool. This next one, yours or mine?
Click on. Oh, that's mine.
Oh, there we go. Next.
And this over here is a shout out to Primetime Treasure Hunter, good friend of the channel. Sometime or other, we're going to sit down and talk, and I can tell him the dealer that I bought this off of because I'm certain he's had some dealings with the same dealer. This dealer, I bought it from him back in 2011, so it took me a while to sell it, out at Madison Bachville. This dealer actually makes me laugh because he sells a lot of he offers for sale a lot of comic books. But he's got it on there where he literally has signs up saying price guide is just that, it's a guide. And the reason he has that is because a lot of the items he has, it might guide out for $20 and he's got it priced at $85, et cetera, et cetera. He's difficult to purchase off of. However, and I don't remember the exact title, but there is one of these titles, I believe it's an oversized romance comic from there that at the time was on 10 most valuable Bronze Age comics. I mean, it's some rare comic. The problem is all of this guy's comics that he had from the romance all had writing on it. So I looked at that comic. I go, well, that's cool. And, he had some, his telephone number written on it with a $sign next to it. And he goes, you interested? I said, well, I would be, but. And he goes, no, I'm willing to work a deal on these. So he must have either got them very, very cheap or he had sold off the other stuff out of there or whatever. But I ended up buying a stack of romance comics off of him, along with the rare one, which I ended up keeping the rare one. That's in my own collection over there. It takes a while to sell. I think I ended up paying not for the rare one. That one I paid more for, obviously. But I think I paid a couple of bucks each on the other romance comics. A couple of them had Jim Steranko covers, et cetera, et cetera. Cool. So I just got to put this up there, though, to show you a long tail does take a long tail sometimes. It took 9 years. But also shout out there to Primetime. Sometime we'll talk about who that dealer is because I'm certain Primetime's seen him as well because he does set up in the Syracuse area a lot. Next one over here we have, that's just a neat little cover over there. Kind of going through, kind of tying into one of the themes that I have, which is I specialize at this point, whether I want to or not, a lot in foreign language magazines because the person out west that sends me lots of magazines, for whatever reason, they come across a lot of foreign language magazines. We've got the video up there with the trick on how to translate using the phone. But this sold very, very quickly because it's got John Travolta in it and it's got Ringo Starr in it. It may have sold for Roberto Carlos too, but although I don't know who he is. But I pictured those as well, put it up, and it sold fairly quickly. Didn't know what to ask on it, so I asked $40. Why not? I think I took $30 offer on it or something other like that.
Cool.
But again, I've kind of found that little niche. with the foreign magazines. And I know you don't sell that many of the foreign magazines on that. And they're difficult to list. They do take a long time to list. You're going through it. It's all in a foreign language, and you're trying to find something, some hook to list it on.
Exactly.
And obviously I could take the phone and scan it over the entire thing, but I really don't want to read an entire magazine from 1978 with celebrities I don't know. The next one over here, going to throw out a little, definitely a BOLO, Click magazine. I don't know how to say, is it Chiang Kai-shek? If you see that name, it sells. Always list his name in everything. If he's in it, it will sell. Not going to go deep into Chinese history at this point, but he was part of the separatist group when the communists took over and blah, 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 blah. Definitely will sell. Put his name on anything. I did take an offer on this of $30-some, something other like that, $30, $35, something other like that. But definitely note his name. It will sell. You will be very happy. Trust me. The next one over here is another thing that took a little while to sell. Jet magazine, but I put this up for a couple of different reasons. Didn't make much on it. But the person who bought it and runs a prop house in New York City, and they needed it by a certain date, and they wanted me to use their FedEx and send it to them this way, that way. And I said, something, I'll just priority it to you. No big deal. And I actually prioritied it at my cost. And I do have free shipping, so it was going to cost me $350 or $320 or whatever it was to ship anyway.
Yeah.
But I said, something? I said, I got a deal for you. I said, I will priority it to you at my cost. So I didn't make much on the sale. I said, but I want you to add me as a favorite seller. And I'm just up the road from you because this prop house is down in Brooklyn. I said, if you need things like this, I have things like this all the time, and I can get it to you in a day or two. So I figure just for the advertising alone, it's worth it. I mean, I didn't make much on it, after everything, maybe made $1 or $2.
Right.
But it's worth the try because who knows? Now maybe I'm on his favorite sellers, and I'm not sure what he runs props for.
Right.
But it's something in New York City. Could be plays, could be well, probably not plays this time of year, but could be movies, could be TV shows, could be who knows what. But if I can get on his list, he's always going to be looking for things like that. So to me, it was worth the risk to do that. And if anybody sees this in a production of anything, just kind of shout out to us because definitely would appreciate it because I'd like to know what it is that I sold it to him for. Next thing we have over here, just kind of interesting. I guess the lesson is when you can travel again, save all of your hotel stationery. Kind of interesting story. I did a quick little search in Hotel Churchill because I've gone to, and you've gone with me a few times too, out to San Diego Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. So I know San Diego fairly well. Take a guess what Hotel Churchill is nowadays.
Arby's.
No, it's still the same building. They basically, it's more or less a homeless shelter type deal. Like they house people that need assistance type deal. So it's kind of not as luxurious as it was at one time, but kind of interesting. And that's one of the things that I love history, so I end up not being quite as good at listing as I should be because I get distracted sometimes. But it was just kind of interesting to me. It was just interesting to me to have. That's why you won't hire me to do your listing. I'll do 2 listings an hour, and I'll go, but they're really good listings. But again, that's just the kind of thing that a lot of people would throw out. Now, one difference now versus years ago, I probably would have listed 1 letterhead and 1 envelope and asked like $10 on it. Now I just put them all together. I said, something, move it on out, and I got $24 out of it versus the 1 letter, 1 thing. I would have sold 1. Then I would have listed another, and 3 years from now I would have said, I sold the second one. Yeah. Move it out, let the guy, get a lot of them. Plenty more stuff to list, and room is also valuable.
Exactly.
Speaking of not making a lot of room on a sale, little brochure, probably this size, sold to somebody in Wisconsin, as a matter of fact.
Nice.
Kind of a neat thing, but the main reason I put this up there is it just was a throw-in on some other deal. It was just sitting in a box of stuff that I bought, and I think I took a $14 off or something other like that on it. But a lot of people wouldn't even think to list this. Just would not list this at all. It would still be sitting in a box. If you had it, where would it be sitting at?
Well, my employees have many boxes, and we label them scared box. So there's many things they get scared of listing. They move on into something that they feel more comfortable listing.
Yeah, and this is just something or other, like I said, cheese, butter. I believe I listed it in the advertising dairy section, and it ended up selling. You also could have listed it in the Wisconsin section under souvenirs.
Cool.
Either which way it would sell, but you just never know. Something like that takes up no space. It's a throw in any deal that you have. You're never, put it this way, you're never going to have to go out to a convention and buy that in order to sell it. It's just something that goes on with something else. Next thing is actually something that you will find out there because they made a lot of these. A little savings thing. You would take it and you would put your, I don't know, quarters or nickels or dimes or whatever it was in there. A way to get kids to save money. Rochester, New York. Now they would have done it for whatever your local town is. Nice graphics there. I think I took a $12 or a $14 off or something other like that on it. Did have a couple of people ask me about it if I had. Do you have more of them from their own little small town?
Right.
Because they did it in all the different little towns. So definitely make sure. And this is something I would not have done years ago. I would not have listed the city that it's from. But people collect it for the city. Maybe they had it when they were growing up, or oh, I used to bank there, or whatever the case happens to be.
Right.
Definitely do list all that. You will find things like this out there. Now, this was a nice one because it was unused. So the night you used to put your money in, then when you wanted to take it back out, it would tear. Okay. This was an unused one.
Gotcha.
Would have rather found a used one filled with the coins.
A silver $50.
That would have been nice. And the last thing we have over here, another magazine, and it's going to kind of tie into a video that at some point we're going to end up doing about how to use Terapeak. And I want you, because you don't know what I'm going to bring up next, well, you can tell it's a look magazine, but I want you to tell me what you think the main selling point of this is.
All right.
There's two big selling points, obviously.
I would say Hepburn or Notre Dame.
Yep, and the Notre Dame, Frank Leahy is a Notre Dame coach. Okay. I got that listed now, and the main reason I listed Notre Dame football is because at the time we're shooting this, they're set to go into the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera.
Gotcha.
There are, or were, 6, 7 of these listed on there, and every one of those listed Notre Dame football, Notre Dame. Guess what none of those 6 listed?
Frank Leahy or Hepburn?
Audrey Hepburn. Not one of them listed Audrey Hepburn. This is another one of those BOLOs out there. Audrey Hepburn sells very, very well. If you had her talking to Shanghai Czech, you can sell it in a second. Very, very good name to search on and to sell things with is Audrey Hepburn. Absolutely nobody else listed her name. I took an offer on this. I sold it for $25. You could go on right now, as we're talking, and you could buy them all day long for $15 with shipping. All day long. They're on there. None of them are listing Audrey Hepburn. I got $10 more because I listed Audrey Hepburn and put a picture up of her. Seems to me that for the, couple of minutes that I paged through the magazine to find her and take the picture of her,
right,
it was worth it. So definitely search Terapeak, but don't have that be your be-all and end-all, especially on a more common item like this, where you see a whole bunch of them listed. Find a hook to list. There are times where I don't even list who's on the cover because everybody else did.
Right, exactly.
And this is one of those, especially on sitting right down over here, old-time magazines. A lot of people will just list who's on the cover. Mm-hmm. If you care about whoever's on the cover, unless it's somebody famous, Stan Musial, something like that, then obviously you do. Right. But if it's some engineer that happened to be working at GM at that period, you may not have to list him because nobody's searching on his name. And if you go through and you find there's civil rights movement in there or various things like that, take the time to list those. You'll sell yours before the other people sell theirs because nobody is searching on that engineer. And if they are, they have 8 other ones they can buy. You're the only one that lists that it's Little Rock desegregation or whatever the case happens to be. You're the only person. I was the only person listed Audrey Hepburn. I sold this in a couple of days where there's a lot of other ones still left on there. So we're definitely going to do a video at some point showing you how to utilize Terapeak. It's a great tool, but it can't be the only tool you use. And there are ways to read the data and ways to read what other people have done and learn how to differentiate yourself, as this shows can definitely be done. So hopefully that helps you. Comment below. We love to hear about your buys. Love to hear if this helped you some. If you could hit subscribe, we'd love it. And give us the thumbs up on the like button. See you next video. There you go. In case anybody didn't know how to do that. See you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.